Amazon Prime, like you don't pay for shipping. They give you, like, now they do on video games, they do 10% off on video games that are, if you pre-order.
What?
Yeah, if you pre-order
Really?
it or get it within the first 2 weeks of it being released, you get it for like $48 instead of 60, dude.
What the fuck?
Yeah, are you sleeping
Wow.
on Amazon Prime?
I'm super sleeping on that. I didn't know that was the thing. I don't have Amazon Prime, honestly, but I do know that Amazon Prime, like, it's the dopest shit. Like, apparently everybody that has it is just like raving about it.
Well,
I
yeah.
honestly don't order enough off of Amazon to like make it worth it for
that's
myself.
the thing, because it's like $100 a month, and the TV service, honestly, compared to Netflix that they offer, is like, it's definitely not worth $100 a month. There's some dope shows on there, but yeah, like if you order enough to kind of justify the free overnight shipping now, and then, I mean, shit, you throw a couple of video games in there, and I mean, you're making your money back on it. You'll easily cover your $99 or whatever it is for the whole year. Plus, they started doing some free books and stuff. So if you use the Kindle app, you can get free books and shit and free magazines on there. So yeah, it's pretty dope. It's definitely nice because they'll outprice any type of retail store most of the time.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Why go to the store when I can order it from the comfort of my couch?
Yeah, and now they're incorporating the drone shit too. Like, they're just gonna drop it off at your house. Oh man, with the little drone.
Yep.
Just go ahead and drop that shit right on my porch, bro.
Yep.
Thanks, man. I don't have to wait on nobody.
They got
just right in my backyard.
They got Amazon lockers out here, like locations that they're kind of like the UPS stores. And I don't know if they have these in California, because I just heard about this shit for the first time the other day. But like, they'll deliver your package to like a store and hold it for you. So like, if you're not home, you're gone all day, if you got problems with neighbors stealing packages or whatever, you can order something, have it delivered to a location that is open. Most of them are open like 24 hours a day out here anyways. Then, yeah, you can just go after work and pick up your package. So like,
that's dope.
Yeah, I haven't actually done that yet, because the last one I had, I just had them delivered to the house because somebody was going to be here. But man, if I'd have known that, because the first house we lived in out here, we had a thief in our neighborhood, and shit kept coming up missing. I was like, bastards.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's never.
I've never had a package stolen. How does that work? Did they steal any of your shit?
Yeah, like, I ordered some stuff from fanatics.com, some sports gear, and shout out to them, because like, I called them and they were like, we'll ship you some new shit today. Like, it's not like minimal questions asked. Like, most of those companies have like risk management. So if their stuff comes up missing, they got somebody who's going to investigate it, work it back with the shipper or with the either FedEx or UPS or United States Postal Service to find out, what happened to it and figure it out. And they'll come out and investigate it. But I'm sure they have insurance that covers stuff like that. So, they don't have to stress on it too hard, I'm sure.
I would think so. I didn't know if that like fell on the responsibility of the consumer or the company though, but I would be pretty pissed off if they didn't cover my shit and it got stolen because some guy left it on the fucking porch or something,
Yeah, FedEx was pretty good about it. We had one FedEx package come up, and the guy came back, and he's like, I left it right here. He's like, you sure it wasn't here? He's like looking behind our bushes and stuff, and I'm like, man, I promise you, like,
right.
It's definitely not. There's nothing more frustrating than honestly expecting a package and have the shit come up missing. Like, especially if you're spending some money on something, man, that's just an aggravating feeling.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. I'm so glad I've never had to experience that. I get mad when I miss the fucking UPS guy.
Yeah,
I couldn't
for sure.
imagine, like, seeing that my package was delivered and the shit's not there. Oh,
yeah.
I couldn't even deal, dude.
Man, I lived in a badass neighborhood in Rancho Cordova for fucking 8 years. I never had shit come up missing. I lived in the suburbs for 2.5 years, and I had like 3 packages come up missing.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy, bro. Yeah, man. I guess everybody in Rancho is like doing more bad shit than trying to take packages, out murdering people.
Probably.
Yeah, they're out fucking catching bodies, as the kids like to say. Yeah, but yeah, man. I went to that. We were talking earlier about the music conference, the production music conference.
Yep.
it was actually really cool. Like I didn't know what to expect, honestly. I thought that it would be a little bit bigger, but was glad that it wasn't. It was basically just in like 2 conference rooms.
Oh, right.
One was really big, and one was like more of a smaller, kind of more intimate setting.
Right.
But all of the panels that I went to were really dope. Well, you know, there are some panels that I probably could have missed.
Right.
I definitely like trying to cover it. I did cover it on Facebook. I don't know if whoever is listening to this, if you guys were paying attention, but I did live reactions to most of the panels that I saw. And I was doing like a live Twitter kind of reaction sort of deal until my phone died. So, you know, it was tough.
Got to get an extra battery pack for that bad boy.
Dude, or like another device that has Twitter on it. But but I was thinking like, man, I have to have somebody else here to cover, because it was really hard just trying to cover the thing. Like it was super hard. Like I have mad respect for any, you know, fucking media outlet that is going to like NAMM or any of these like bigger conferences.
Yeah.
Because man, it's a lot of work. Like I had no idea it'd be that much work to try and get all that shit like in a timely manner.
Right.
Like if it was just something I was going to do after the fact, it wouldn't have been so bad. But
right,
like trying to do it all live and like in the moment, man, I don't know if I'll do that by myself again.
Yeah, that sounds like a kind of a 2-man job. Yeah, that definitely sounds like a 2-man job, like a situation where you got one person kind of live tweeting and then one person still paying attention, because like you can get caught up and miss out on some cool shit probably.
Yeah, but overall the experience was really dope. I got a couple interviews. Nice. One was scheduled with John Fulford, and then another I interviewed some representatives from a company called AdRev, which basically help you collect royalties. I don't know if royalties is the right term to use, but they help you collect money from ads on your YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So like if somebody uses your music on YouTube,
right,
they'll be able to track it and then, you know, put ads on their video and then give you the money from the ads that play on that video. So
get your ad,
you know, they were cool dudes, you know, dude, get your money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. But it was very informative. I highly recommend going, because it's a good way to get up close and personal with, you know, people who make decisions in the companies that you might want to work for or might want to sell music to, and not have to deal with like a big fucking intimidating atmosphere. Like everybody was real cool. Like I talked to a couple guys from Red Bull. I was talking to, you know, I just like sat down next to the CEO of like Killer Tracks and like all these big name music libraries. Like all of the big name people were there. So, nice. You know, it's a good look. Production Music Conference, if you're in the Santa Monica area next year, definitely check that shit out, man.
Yeah, that's definitely a good situation, like getting out there and kind of rubbing elbows, as they say, with some of those people. But I mean, just being able to listen, like it's an opportunity to almost kind of like job shadow somebody, because they're there just to give you information. So, you know, you can go out and listen to what they have to say.
Yeah, and we got cool swag too. I got some I got a shot glass and like a water bottle and pen and shit.
That's always the best part, man. You gotta come up on some swag.
You know, a little bit. It was cool, man. And it was just dope, like meeting other composers and, you know, library owners, and like just learn. There's so many music libraries out there.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I had no idea how many there actually were. Like it felt like everyone that I was talking to at that conference was like some sort of library executive, and they'd had like 1,000 tracks placed on 1,000 different shows. I was like, dude, am I like the only one here that doesn't have any tracks placed? Like I was feeling really like almost out of place, but everybody was really cool, man. So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, you'd never want to go to those things and like have people. I've been to some different events and stuff and had people just like they're like looking down their nose at you, you know, when you're asking questions and shit. So it's definitely dope to know that there's good people out there and is a quality event. You know, they're there to help you out and answer your questions, and they're probably getting paid to be there. So don't be a dick about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're for sure getting paid. The highlight though, like the DA Wallach, I think I'm saying his name right. DA Wallach, Wallach. He was like a singer on that in that band Chester French, and he's like been a investor in Spotify since like the beginning.
Oh, wow.
He had a keynote talking about Spotify, basically, and about the future of streaming, of streaming royalties. And man, like that guy is super dynamic. To think that he's like maybe 3 years older than me is kind of scary. Like how smart and knowledgeable he was, and just everything, really. Like he was just you could tell he was like one of those high level thinking guys that just really had his finger on the pulse of like what's next. And he was basically saying that Spotify earned, I think the figure was something like 60, or had 63 million paid subscribers before in the first half of last year.
Wow.
And yeah, and he was saying like that's only 7% of the users. It was a figure that was like really shocking. Like only 7% of the users actually pay for Spotify.
Wow.
And he was saying that if you could convert like another, just half of that, another 3.5%, like the royalties would double for artists. So, it's not, I mean, like you hear a lot, like we've talked about streaming too on this show.
Yeah.
Like how artists feel like they're kind of getting shortchanged, but I feel like it's inevitable that eventually the market will catch up with what artists have been kind of traditionally been getting paid as far as royalties go, just because the market saturation is going to reach a point to where people are it's going to be normal to pay for a premium service like Spotify or Google Play.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Like I mean, I've been paying for Rhapsody, which is now switched back over. They call it Napster now. Like Napster came in and switched over Rhapsody. But I've been paying for that for probably 2 or 3 years going on now, because you can download as much as you want. You can stream as much as you want. They have like a radio type service that'll play, different artist stations and different track stations and stuff. I'm not a big fan of their artist track station stuff, but I mean, I like the ability to grab music the day it comes out, right on Rhapsody, download it to my phone and be able to play it, straight off my phone. So I'm definitely a big fan of pay services. I don't buy too many CDs anymore. So yeah, it is just probably a matter of time before people switch over. That's fascinating though to hear that it's only 7% of their users. Like the sky is the limit for those companies. You think about at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, I could be butchering the numbers a little bit too. I'm going purely off of memory. I don't have any of my notes in front of me, but I did take notes, and if you check the Twitter feed, you could check the numbers because I did post it as soon as my phone was back on. So it was just a real eye-opening keynote. I wasn't really expecting much from it, I think, too. So it was definitely just that alone, like, and the fact that he was accessible too. Like he was eating lunch with us. Like it wasn't like he was some fucking superstar guy. He was just sitting out there, and we were talking. We were having like real conversations with him. Yeah. It was a real like treat to actually get to hear. Like it was a little reassuring too. Like sometimes being in this sort of business, like the music business now, it's tough to stay motivated. Like stay like why, like, should I be doing this? Like I'm looking around and like big name artists are complaining about money. Mm-hmm. Like how the fuck am I going to get any? It was reassuring to hear like, look, man, like we're not even close to like reaching the full potential of what the music industry will be. Right. We're still running off of like the old infrastructure that was, put in place when music was a physical item. Like you had mechanical royalties because you actually had to press CDs and records. Yep. So you know, like it's a new thing. And, you know, just, he was basically just saying, relax, bro. Like, we'll figure this shit out, you know? Yeah.
Giving it the Aaron Rodgers treatment, RELAX, relax.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, man. It was really interesting. But yeah, definitely make it out to a conference, especially a smaller conference like that. You'll have a lot of opportunity to talk to people that you probably wouldn't, they would never ever see your email. Right. Like that was another thing too that they were talking about like how many emails they actually go through. Like, Jesus, like you'd better try and get some FaceTime with some of these cats if you're really serious about it, because it's going to be hard for them to put a name to a face or remember your email, even if you're emailing every day.
Right.
You know, but yeah, man. What you been up to, dog? How you been doing?
Man, you know, just living the life of dreams, which is a lie because I work for corporate America every day. But yeah,
used to be the dream.
Man, it is. It's definitely not anymore. So, you know, I started going back through some of my projects that I started and never finished. I call it the graveyard, if you will.
Nice.
That's a scary walk sometimes, man. That's a super scary walk.
Yeah.
But it was definitely beneficial because I heard stuff in there that I'm like, oh yeah, I need to go back and finish this. This has to get done. So that's on the plate right now is finish, man. Just start wrapping up some of this shit and have material to put out. And I think I'm gonna just start working on an instrumental project, man. I can't get artists out there that wanna rap. Apparently, like there's a billion rappers, but none of them want to rap. So you know, hey, whatever. You know.
You know, it's kind of trending that way anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like people like the EDM scene has kind of made it pretty clear that like as long as you have vocal samples, you can make a song work.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, like the need of an MC to actually have a legit project out at this point is almost like it's nice if you could find a good one, but if you don't, then whatever. Like you can make do.
Well, and you know the thing is, like everybody raps nowadays. Everybody raps. So
that's very true.
You definitely got to find an artist, and I think like part of it is I kind of bag on MCs right there, but I don't mean that because like I don't think I've found that right artist to work with my style yet. So like. I mean, that's the search. Like, there's definitely some people that I've worked with that it matches up. But, you know, sometimes you just don't get the projects done. I'm kind of an impatient person when it comes to getting stuff done. Like, especially when it comes to music for me is such a spur of the moment thing. If it's not going, like it's gone. Forget about it. If I'm putting a project out, if I shoot somebody a beat and be like, hey, here's this beat, and they're like, oh yeah, this is dope, and they sit on it for 3 weeks, I've lost all interest in that at that point.
Yeah, they're pretty much on their own. Like I couldn't agree with you more. I don't really wait around either. No. Especially just based on the fact too that it's so easy to put stuff out there too. Like if I'm going to just give you a beat and you're just going to sit on it, I'm just going to put this shit on YouTube. Yep. Or I'm just going to put this shit on SoundCloud and then let whoever wants to enjoy it, free download, whatever. I don't give a fuck at this point. I mean, and honestly, like I listened to Rockweiler. Rockweiler's he had a very, like, for me it was a very eye-opening like post today on his Instagram. And he was talking about intention, and it's something that I feel like gets lost a lot, especially nowadays where everybody can make music and everybody feels like they deserve to get paid. He was basically saying, like, if you're not in this for the love of the music and you're not in this because you really like doing what you do, you're never going to make any money. Right. And I was like, well, that is probably the most like poignant thing I've heard all year. Like it's something that I feel like needs to be said, or people needed to hear at this point, you know, in this point of the music industry space, because I feel like a lot of people are looking for a buck, myself included. Yeah. That's why it was so hard hitting with me. I was like, oh yeah, I do like making music. Yeah. Why wouldn't I just be happy doing this instead of trying to like chase a fucking placement? Right. You know, like it was very, very good. Follow him.
No, that's a very valid point. Like if you're doing it for the money, like you're probably in it for the wrong reason. And I definitely feel that way too. So like I can definitely echo your sentiment on that. And I mean, there may be people that feel different. There may be people that are like natural prodigies when it comes to making music, and they're like, this shit's easy. Let me make some money off of this. So like I definitely think there's that flip side. For me though, that's not the case. It's not easy. You know, it's been probably the better part of almost 10 years that I've been working on music. And I still do it, you know, pretty much on a daily basis. So if I could start making some change off of it, that would be fantastic.
That's great, right?
But you know, like I enjoy making music. I enjoy listening to music. Like music is just definitely something that if my life didn't have music in it, I would be a depressed, miserable person. Like, and I can tell when, you know, if I'm at work and I'm busy and I'm not getting a chance to listen to a lot of music, I can tell like kind of the mood swings that I go into. So, you know, music is that powerful thing that, you know, it can relay emotions that sometimes verbally you cannot.
Oh yeah, 100%. Music is definitely a form of communication. You know, it's a language of its own. 100%. And it's something that I feel like is never going to go away. It's just like it's going to be one of those things that every culture will, in some way, shape, or form, get to experience. You know, I hope. You know, I can't tell the future, but I think that like I couldn't imagine a world without music. That'd be a really strange thing, right?
We'd be banging our feet and stomping our hands on something. There would be some kind of noise. You know, there'd have to be like, I don't know. Yeah, I can't imagine a world where there was no music or nothing, no rhythmic type of sound. Because, yeah, man, that's definitely a key part of my life and has been all through my life, you know, through 36 years at this point. I'm sure I was rocking out to some tunes at an early age. My parents always had some type of music playing. So
nice.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's music is a powerful thing. It reaches a lot of people, and it'll continue to. I mean, I think the digital era has just made it even more accessible. Because, you know, you had people out there when everybody was buying physical copies of stuff. Not everybody could afford to go out, and not everybody had transportation to get to the music store and buy something. So, you know, you would hear stuff on the radio, but I mean, you still had access to the radio. I think with Spotify and Napster and the Apple Music and stuff like that, it's just become so much more accessible. And I think in turn, that's why you're seeing a boom in music production and music producers. There's more people listening to music. There's more people with access to it. There's more people with access to the stuff that it takes to make the music at this point.
100%. So after that, like 30-minute intro, we're going to go ahead and start the episode proper.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Audio Files number 9. This is Rashad Peters talking. I'm here with my co-host, Dustin Brookshire.
Yeah.
You could find us on Facebook at The Audio Files Podcast. You can also find us on Instagram at The Audio Files Podcast. Twitter, a little bit different. Don't be scared, though. It's TAFPODD, TAF Pod. And you can find us on SoundCloud at The Audio Files Podcast. Also, just I think I alluded to it in our conversation a little bit earlier, but we're going to be starting a YouTube page here soon with the first couple videos being interviews from the Production Music Conference. So if you want to get a taste for what it was like there, that would be a good place to start. So our first couple interviews, like I said previously, are going to be with John Fulford of Fulford's World on YouTube. If you don't know who that is, check him out. Super dope guy. Yeah, Super Sleeping too has a YouTube channel full of great information. You should definitely be checking that out if you're into music licensing. Yep. Also with a couple of fellows from AdRev. Their names escape me right now, but they will definitely be in the video or on the YouTube page. So you could check that out. All right. And we have some cool shit. I think we have some pretty cool topics lined up today.
Yes.
Especially on the Gear Talk side. This is something that I've been keeping my eye on for quite some time. It's something that I feel like will become more prevalent as as time goes on and as computers get smaller and faster and cheaper, and that's the rise of mobile production. And by that, I don't mean laptop. I mean like on your mobile device.
Yeah.
Right now, iOS kind of rules that roost. There's not a lot. Yeah, you kind of have to have like an iPad or, you know, some sort of Apple device in order to really take advantage of that space. But there was a very interesting article in Music Radar. I wonder who put this together. It's a compilation article.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see where
they basically kind of just shit on Android as far as being a viable mobile platform. And
yeah,
I mean, I can't say I disagree with them though.
No, not at all, not at all. But I mean, like just because I feel like if we were to do a iOS, maybe we'll do like our own best of iOS like music app sort of deal. I mean, I don't even really have an iOS device other than my Mac. I don't even think that really counts. I don't have like an iPad or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like we should talk about this just because Android is the most like adopted operating system on mobile, and eventually, just like, you know, the App Store, the Apple App Store was kind of first in line, so it got all the cool shit first. Eventually, you know, Android kind of their app store kind of got on pace with theirs. I feel like this space is kind of it might be in the same vein, or maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't fucking know. But I have an Android. I don't know if you have an Android. Do you have an Android?
Yeah, I'm Android, but I also have an iPad. It's
iPad.
One of the fourth generation iPads, so it's, you know, it's getting older, and it struggles to run some of the apps, but, you know, I can definitely still run like iMachine and GarageBand and
Nice.
The Thor app on there, which is dope. But yeah, I mean, Apple definitely got the cream of the crop as far as when it comes to music apps, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there's some dope stuff on Android, but I don't know. There's nothing just like outside
Nothing
of
jumps out.
outside of like FL Studio.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, there's nothing really that's just like completely comprehensive to me, where it's just like, this is your all-in-one solution for making music mobile on your device right here. There's nothing that really stands out to me that is that one solution.
Yeah, I mean like the price too on the FL Mobile. The FL Mobile app for Android is right. It's $16.
Yeah.
You know, for like, it looks like, you know, I haven't had a chance to play with it. I haven't had a chance to download, but it looks like it's sort of like along the lines of a GarageBand-esque sort of music app for your Android.
Right.
You know, just with a FL twist. Like, I don't know if it'll have a step sequencer in it. I didn't look into all of the goodies too much, but I do know that you can start a project on FL on your phone and then continue that project on your actual FL machine. Like if you run FL on your computer, and I know a lot of people do. So, you know, that's something to definitely take into consideration when looking at apps like this too, is like, can I run this on my laptop? Can I run this, you know, on my friend's laptop? Like, how can I assess this other than the mobile side?
Yeah, because I mean, still at some point, you know, I don't think the mobile devices are to the point yet where it's going to be like, okay, all-in-one solution. I'm on my mobile, song written, mixed, mastered, done. Like, I mean, you probably could. I know there's apps out there for mastering on the iPad. I haven't looked into them a whole lot, just because it's not really something that interests me. But like, I know there is solutions for that out there. But yeah, I mean, like, at some point you're going to have to go from mobile probably to your machine. So I think that is a big thing. You got to make sure that the app is going to support that in a way that's functional, getting it from your mobile device onto your actual studio machine.
I mean, I'm going to ask you, do you see a future in some sort of like mobile only kind of music app that will be on the same level as a Logic or like a FL or, you know, any of these bigger DAWs? Do you think that we'll ever see that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you're talking about like on a phone or like on an iPad. Like, I don't know. That just doesn't seem like a viable solution to me, because that hardware is going to have limitations.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's a small mobile device. It's a smaller processor. It's a different operating system. So I don't know. My brain just kind of rolls it around like it's definitely a sketch pad. I definitely see people use like a lot of the synthesizers in like a live play type situation.
Yeah, that's very true.
You know, and I think for that it's a dope solution. But when it comes to actual full-on composition and then mixing and getting into that, like I don't know, I can't see myself doing it personally.
Yeah, I have to tend to agree to a certain extent, just because, you know, people invest so heavily in their machines already. Like, it would kind of be it wouldn't be probably as smart for a company to put so much effort into trying to make their mobile app something that will replace their consumer's machine, or like be just as viable, because, you know, in theory their laptop or computer should have more power. But with that being said too, I mean, the way that things are going as far as processing power goes, and as far as you know, form factors go, it seems like things are getting slimmer. It seems like things are getting smaller. It seems like things are getting faster.
Yeah.
What point does like that form factor and all of that horsepower kind of meet the form factor of something that you can put in your backpack that would feel like an iPad but be as powerful as, you know, the latest MacBook? Right. I think it's only a matter of time until those two roads kind of come to kind of meet, and you'll be able to have, you know, even if it's not something that you use primarily, you'll be able to have something that you can use that will be just as good as you going back home and like doing your thing on your actual desktop.
Yeah.
So
I think you're right. It's definitely only a matter of time. You know, because I mean, like, even the iMachine app on the iPad, you know, you get basically 4 channels to work with, and they can be either, you know, a sample, or you can have the 16 pads. You know, you can have 4 channels that are 16 pads apiece, and there's a lot of functionality to it. And I mean, you can structure stuff out into the patterns and into scenes like Machine does normally, and you know, you can do a little bit of mixing, and it kind of has some delay and stuff on there. And like, I've pushed my iMachine app pretty far as putting some stuff down, but ultimately for me, when it comes down to it, I'm like, all right, export. Let's throw it on the real machine and let's get to work here. Right. That's always been my go-to at this point. But I think you're right. Like, machines just keep getting smaller. They keep adding, you know, more capable hard drives. You know, it's not, you know, with so much stuff going towards like flash memory as far as storage, like it's getting even more viable to be able to pack your machine with you and take it everywhere. Because I know some people that are hesitant to take laptops everywhere they go because, you know, it's potentially fragile. But I mean, they're just making the stuff more mobile and more accessible so that more people can take it on the go.
Interesting. Yeah, and also with I kind of see Apple kind of almost regressing in their design, like by adding, you know, or by excluding like industry standard sort of ports on their MacBooks, and and playing with form factors for their desktop. And, you know, like I kind of see it like, you remember when Steve Jobs left the first time, and they did like the colorful iMacs, and everybody shit on those because they sucked. And you know, and it was like, and they were like kind of being very innovative with their Unix sort of operating system, and like everybody was like, oh, Apple, and like it was on fucking Doogie Howser, and like all the TV shows were using Apples, and you know, it was kind of hot shit to have an Apple. But now I kind of feel like people are, especially in the music scene, like they're gravitating more towards a PC sort of like almost more open sort of operating system, or, you know, a more open sort of form factor, to where they can customize their machines to fit their needs. You know, Apple kind of puts you in this weird box that makes you buy all these adapters, and like you don't. I mean, like at this point, like you can have well, this is kind of alluding to our topic today, but like you can have something that is, you know, maybe like $300-400 as far as your laptop goes, and it could run FL or whatever, or Ableton or whatever the fuck, and you can make music that sounds just as good as someone that has like a $8,000, you know, fucking trash can MacBook. You know what I'm saying? Like you can have just the same amount of power in that thing that is way more cost effective and probably, you know, way more accessible than, you know, the industry quote unquote standard with your Apple. You know, so
yeah, and Apple's making it kind of even more harder. Well, and I think some of the newer PCs, like some of the more tablet style PCs that are coming out now, are making it even harder to customize. And honestly, that was why I ended up going out and buying a used MacBook Pro. Not only was it cheaper, but I could also customize it. Like I could change the hard drive, I could add more RAM to it. You know, a lot of these new MacBook Pros, from what I've seen, like you can't do any type of upgrades to it. You're pretty much stuck with what you get on it. And also some of, you know, like the newer Windows machines as well, or you're kind of in that situation. So I think it's only a matter of time though before they just make machines that will run the software and you'll be fine. You know, you won't have to worry about it. But for a long time it was like, damn, I need more power, I need more juice, this thing needs to go better.
I feel like in the industry that we're in, we're always going to need more. There will never be enough of anything. I could probably have like 32 gigs of RAM and like 10 fucking SSDs, and it'd be like, damn, but I don't have that one. I need that RAM. I need that SSD. Fuck these dumb SSDs that I have. Anyway, moving on to the hard. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I have 24 gigabytes in my desktop machine, and
do you?
Yeah, there's still points where I
RAM?
go. Yeah. Like there's
my God.
There's still points where I go, all right, well, I could max this out at 32. I mean, it's only another 8 gigs. So awesome. You know, like 20.
Won't have to worry about shit.
No, like 24 goes pretty well. It gets the job done.
I can imagine. I don't have even half of that. Yeah. I don't even have 12 gigs. Yeah. But anyway, that's a good segue into our next gear segment, which will be about dude. This is a name I almost don't even like saying, but
when you sent me this today, I was like, wait, what?
Huh? yeah, that's why I sent it. I was like, wow, okay. Behringer, if you are, this is like kind of super inside baseball. If you're not like in this world, in the audio world yet, you know, like Behringer is notorious for making kind of cheap shit that breaks a lot. You know, is at least in like pro audio, like that's not a name that is like highly regarded, but Behringer is coming out with a fucking synth, a polyphonic 12 voice synth. Yeah. Which I thought I thought it was a typo until I actually saw it. I was like, Behringer, there's no way Behringer is going to have something. And I guess it's supposed to have some sort of like crazy AR like aspect to it, to where like you can use augmented reality to like patch and do all sorts of crazy shit with the synth. I didn't read too much into that part because it just
I missed that part. I watched the video on it, and like I mean it looks like it's in collaborations with TC Electronics. TC, who I definitely. I don't want to shit on Behringer too much because, like, I mean, I've used Behringer shit, but you're right. Like, it is definitely a little bit more prone to break at times. I know a lot of people who broke Behringer gear, Behringer mixers, and stuff like that. But honestly, like, I watched the promo video for this thing today, or the review video on it is a beta or like a prototype. It's not fully finished, but I was intrigued. I definitely had a couple real eye-opening moments where I was like, well, damn, that's kind of dope.
Right. And that's why I was like, what? I was like, and then I looked at the price. It's like $1,000, which is pricey for most.
Right.
But I mean, for a 12 voice analog fucking, polyphonic synth, that's not bad at all. I think, I mean, I'm rooting for this thing. I hope that this can like kind of bring some pride back to the Behringer name, because I feel like they get shit on a lot.
Yeah,
especially in the forums,
Yeah, for sure. And like, I mean, it looks like a pretty legit piece of gear, and also really in depth, almost to the point where watching the promotional video for it was almost a little intimidating with him going through the menus, because there was a shitload of options in the menu to go through. But the sound that was coming out of it is nice. Like, I mean, he was creating some pads and stuff that sounded pretty phenomenal. And then doing
with 12 voices, fuck yeah, it better sound phenomenal.
And then I mean, like the filters, it only had a 2-pole and a 4-pole low pass filter, and then kind of a high pass filter in there. I forget what he said about the high pass filter, but it's
shared.
So like that's a little bit limited as far as like filters. I mean, I would have loved to have seen like a band pass or something on there. But I mean, shit, for $1,000 and for the way this thing sounded and kind of the functionality it had, plenty of MIDI options on there, plenty of CV as well. Like he was running it with what was that other piece of gear that he had? But he was basically modulating it, in there. And the menu inside of the actual machine is the only thing that kind of had me a little bit like, ooh, really? We're gonna do that? We're gonna do all that on a 3.5-inch display?
That's
like
black and white.
Yeah, that's black and white with kind of a goofy little like jog dial. I was like, all right, we're gonna have to see how this works out.
It's reminiscent of old MPC style, sort of like kind of you have to click hella buttons to get to some basic shit. I mean, and we just kind of like loved all over this thing, kind of like in a backhanded way, like but like honestly, before I say this, it does look like a cool synth, and if I had an extra $1,000 lying around, I would definitely fucking pre-order or buy it, or however I could get my hands on it. I would definitely try and get my hands on it. But the UI, the design of the panel it doesn't look great. I'm going to be honest. It doesn't look great. And the only reason why I say that is because you have, I can't even count how many faders and buttons that are on this fucking thing. But
there was a lot.
It just looks so old school. Like it's not what, when you have like something like a Rolly, when you have something like, like basically any other fucking like newer thing that's not modular or isn't like a Nord, like that's the only time that I can really deal with all of the clutter on the face of the keyboard.
Right.
But I just feel like the design's a little bit older. It looks a little bit older.
Yeah.
The faders look a little, I don't know. I haven't played with the fader, but when he was pulling and pushing them, they didn't look all that.
No. And he said, what the guy said in the video, we should probably post a link to the video so that people know what we're talking about if you want to check it out. But yeah, like what he said is that wasn't really the final design on the buttons on the faders. So hopefully they can shore that up, because it did look a little suspect. It had a little give to it. And the faders didn't look great, but you're right. Like it kind of had like that retro look to it.
And you might like that.
And I mean, if that's what you're into, he kept comparing it to like the Juno 106, which, I mean, I've heard limited, but like, I mean, the sound that I heard coming out of it was pretty decent. I definitely can't shit on the sound that was coming out of it. Hopefully they get that design shored up and make it a viable option for $1,000, like for a 12 voice polysynth for $1,000.
For $1,000, man.
Yeah, that's exciting, kind of.
That's super exciting. I mean, like, what does that mean for the rest of the companies too? Is what I mean. Like, I'm looking at this thing as like pushing market like value of synths a little bit more down to where it's reasonable, because in a world where I can get Omnisphere for like $800, why the fuck am I going to pay $3,000 for your synth. You know, like I'm probably not going to pay three grand if I can get Omnisphere 2 on a payment plan for like $89 a month. Like I'm not gonna fork out that kind of cash. So
yeah.
I mean, like I said, I just thought it was interesting that Behringer decided to get in the keyboard synth game. I don't think that they've ever made a one before this, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, but like you said, they are paired up with TC Electronics, which they've definitely made some synths, or like some sort of synthesized box.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Their little vocal
I'm excited to see.
Their little vocal box is pretty nice. I know a couple people that have used it live. And it's got like the delay and reverb and stuff on it. So yeah, high hopes for it, man. I really do. Like I've definitely refrained from shitting on Behringer as of late, but that's also because I haven't had a reason. Like they don't typically make news too much unless something is breaking.
Yeah, that's and they mentioned that too in a couple articles that I read, that they've got some bad karma, but everybody that's played with this has said good things about it. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this is probably going to be pretty dope. And when it drops and people have like a review of the final one, we'll definitely cover that. So keep your eyes out for it. It's called I don't think I said the name once. The Behringer Deepmind 12.
Yep.
Which is a cool name, Deepmind. I'm not mad at that. Whoever made that.
Nope.
Good on you. Yeah. So our topic today, now that Gear Talk is over, there's really no news. Well, there probably was news, but I didn't think that we should cover much of that, since I did a lot of coverage for the PMC. I didn't. That's right. Whatever. I mean, and we kind of covered some streaming stuff too in this. So that's your news for today.
Right.
But the topic today, I feel like, is an interesting one. I always have like a soft spot for people that are just starting, or people that might be thinking about wanting to start.
Yeah.
I think that now is probably one of the best times to kind of get in the game. And I started thinking, like, what would I buy if I already hadn't started? How would I get by with $1,000? Like, what would I get with $1,000? And I compiled a list, and did you make a list, or if not, it's fine.
I didn't make a list, but like I have an idea. Like I've definitely kept my eye on prices, and like the prices are pretty standard. So yeah, like definitely. That's true. See, what I should have asked you though is if we were considering putting a computer in there, because like everybody has a computer nowadays. So
right.
That was kind of my assumption, is that we wouldn't include the computer on there. But I see your list and you got the computer, so damn it, foiled again.
Yeah, man. It was a pretty like open-ended question. We can, well, that's even better, because we can do a list with a computer and we can do a list without a computer, and I think that'll give you like a very comprehensive view. But I guess we'll start with the list with the computer, since it's staring me right in the face.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. So the thing is, like we talked about it earlier, you don't have to have a Mac to start. No. You don't have to have that. That is like one of the most common misconceptions that I heard, like when people would ask me, like, oh, how do I get in? How do I do this? How do I make music? Like, you don't have to have an Apple. You don't have to like have any of that shit. I have a link here to that to a laptop that I found on Tiger Direct, which is if you don't know, it's a computer online store. It's dope. Man, it's very like.
I'll stop you right there real quick, and I don't mean to interrupt, but there's a Tiger Direct actual physical store in Georgia. It's like
what?
Yeah, it's like 90 minutes from where we're at. Yeah, and
fuck out of here.
It reminded me a lot of like a Circuit City when I walked in there. It was dope. But yeah, we were driving out. We were driving out one day to go shopping somewhere like way the hell out in the sticks, and we drove by, and you see it off the side of the freeway, and it's Tiger Direct. I was like, oh shit.
We have to go in.
Yeah, I was like, we gotta go. We gotta go.
That's sick, man. I didn't know that. I thought that it was like strictly online. I thought that's how they how else can they offer you a computer for, like, I'm looking at this computer that it's $500.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's an i5, like, take it or leave it, but it's 2.3 gigahertz. It's 8 gigs of RAM, which is more than enough if you're just starting.
Oh yeah.
And you get a 256 gigabyte solid state.
Yep.
You know, like
Yep.
with Windows 7 Pro, 64-bit, Bluetooth, DVD player if you are into that, and it's 15 inches.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. That's half the price of what you'd be paying at the Apple Store, and you're getting way more.
That's a beefy,
way more than what you.
Yeah, that's a beefy machine. Like, and
you know,
we don't want to talk too much about how size matters, but yeah, like when you're doing music production, like a 15-inch screen is clutch.
Oh, it's super clutch.
Yeah, because those 13-inch monitors, man, that can get a little tight. So yeah, like that's a screaming machine right there. I definitely wouldn't shit too hard on the i5s. I would probably stay away from the i3s, but I mean, if you don't have the budget for it, there's another one that's an i3 with 4 gigs of RAM, a 500 gigabyte standard hard drive for $350. So I mean, if your budget's a little bit tighter on the computer, like you can get in. You can get
by with that.
Yeah, that's a brand new machine for $350. On the radio out here, they've been advertising refurbished computers for $400. So I don't know. Me personally, I'm going to take something brand new over refurbished
all day.
And yeah, especially when it comes to computers. Like if I can come up on a new one for cheaper than I can come up on a refurb, or for close to the same price, I'm definitely trying to come up on the new one.
Yeah. I mean, like for a computer for making music, like it can be very resource intensive on your machine. So like the 8 gigs of RAM, like that's so clutch when you're first starting, because especially when you're first starting, you're going to be using a lot of shit because you're not going to know when to stop. You're going to be excited, whatever, you're going to have 1,000 fucking instances of whatever plugin you're using open, and eventually your shit's going to crash. But like if you have 8 gigs, you could at least you could get by with the solid state too.
Oh yeah.
You're definitely going to be able to get your ideas out super quickly, which is, I feel like, probably the most important thing when thinking about buying a machine for making music. Is how is it going to handle all of the commands and all of the things that I'm going to be throwing at it. And those are two metrics, the processor and the RAM. Those two things will definitely help you out when looking at a machine. So,
and that solid state drive will make a big difference in that too, because the solid state drives are noticeably faster than typical hard drives. Like I love my solid state drives just because it's from boot up time alone, like it cuts the boot up time in half. So for $500, that's the come up right there, man.
It's not a bad machine, man. I might get it myself. Ditch this fucking Apple bullshit.
Oh,
I would never. Anyway, moving right along. Ableton. So I went back and forth on this, on how what DAW I would recommend to start with.
Right.
Ableton won out, and I'll tell you why. It was between Ableton and FL, and I like FL for making beats, especially if you're just first starting. It's super It's super user friendly. Right. You'll open it and you'll immediately want to start making music. And it's kind of it's almost becoming an industry standard for trap. Trap beats are super easy to make in FL, and that's kind of the easiest way to get attention right now is kind of making these, fucking I can't even name a trap artist right now. It's so bad. No. Young Thug, fucking, those types of beats. It's really easy to do that. But I chose Ableton, even though FL Fruity Edition and Ableton 9, I think it's light. I don't know. I forgot. I can't remember, but the base model at Ableton 9, they both start at $99.
Right.
So the difference between them is that Ableton 9, you can use audio clips. In FL Fruity Edition, you can't use audio clips.
Oh wow.
That's a huge that was the deciding factor. If audio if you just want to do MIDI and you're like fuck audio, which I don't think anybody would ever do, like, you know, because you wouldn't really be able to import like samples. You wouldn't be able to import like any one shots that you might want to just drop in here and there.
Right.
You know, like you couldn't really do that on FL, but on Ableton, even though it's a little bit, the UI is a little bit different and it's going to be a little bit steeper learning curve. You at least have the ability to manipulate audio, and their sampler is like it's amazing.
Yeah.
Their sampler is amazing.
The other thing too with going with Ableton is that not that FL doesn't have like the community support, but like because there's a shitload of YouTube and community support for both of those. Honestly,
for both,
yeah, you really can't go wrong going with either one because you're gonna be able to find probably what you're able to do or what you're looking to do through YouTube without a doubt, without any problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And you know, Ableton's kind of like the hot shit right now too. Like I think I said it earlier. I don't know if I said it on the podcast, but like just talking to my friends, I was like, before Ableton like really started popping off and you started seeing all these people with pushes, I was like, Ableton's the new Logic for sure. Because back in the day, like when Reason and Pro Tools and to a certain extent FL, but like when Logic was kind of like the redheaded stepchild, everybody was like, no, I'm sticking with Pro Tools. I'm sticking with the MPC. I'm sticking with, you know, whatever fucking Reason, whatever you were using at that time. And everybody was looking at Logic like, ooh, you know, especially in like, I feel like in Pinnacle at our recording school that we went to, we didn't even cover Logic at all. Like there was no, and we had Max. It wasn't like we couldn't.
Yeah, everything
it was just
was Pro
like
Tools.
there was never. Everything was Pro Tools
Pro
or
Pro
MPC.
Tools, yeah, Pro Tools, MPC, and the Reason as well, and Reason as well.
Yeah, and
but Reason was
Reasons.
It's still funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing
the
only thing I don't like about Ableton is that with that intro version for $99, you know, you're limited as far as the tracks that you can run. You know, the amount of tracks that you can run. So like you can't get too crazy. But I mean, if you're just starting out, you know, that actually I think that teaches you some control in a way and teaches you kind of how to consolidate and how to keep things organized and kind of build maybe a little bit more structure without having just complete free reign of a DAW to go completely insane with.
The thing about Ableton too to remember is that their nomenclature is way different than any other DAW. So if they're talking about you can only run 4 tracks, they don't mean that you can only have 4 like actual tracks.
Yeah.
You know, like the way that you would think about a track would be like, okay, there's a piece of audio information run, you know, in that track, and then I have to go to the next track to get the next piece of audio information in my. That's not how Ableton runs. Ableton runs its tracks more like sequences, and its traditional tracks would be like, think of it, would be called clips. Like those are clips in Ableton. So your clip can be as long as your whole fucking project if you want it to be.
Right.
But the sequences that you can run, I think, are limited to like 4.
Yeah, it's 16. What's it say? It says 16 audio and MIDI tracks, and then 8 scenes. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's a little bit limited, but I mean, that's still enough. I think that you could get something done with. Oh yeah, that's plenty. To I mean, if you're doing more than actually get started, right? If you're doing more than 8 scenes getting started, like just go ahead and spend a few extra bucks and get go ahead and just do it, because you're obviously a protege and you're ready to get busy. So just go ahead and drop them $4.99 and get that next one up, or the $800 and get the full version if you want. Or torrent it. Oh, what? Who said that? Oh, Jesus. We don't condone that here. Don't do that. Yeah, we actually do. You know what? I feel like that's such a taboo thing, but fuck it. You know, I'm going to go ahead out and say it. Like, I definitely probably wouldn't have gotten this far without torrenting. Like, I think it's important. I think it's important for software manufacturers to realize how users are using their software as well, too. Right. I feel like, honestly, a lot of times manufacturers put the torrents up there just to see
how how people are responding to their products, because at the end of the day, like if you're torrenting a piece of software and you're serious about what you're doing, eventually you're going to buy that piece of software.
True.
I haven't met one person who is like serious in the audio world that hasn't torrented, for one, and two, hasn't used that torrent as like a, kind of a stepping stone or like something to hold them over so that they can actually compete until they can actually afford their piece of software that they've stole, quote unquote,
Right.
I mean, and I get it. Like I had program, like I know how hard that shit is. Like that is like, if you're torrenting and you're making money and you're not paying the developer, like shame on you. Like seriously, for real, man. Like it's a lot of work to actually, get something that polished and that ready for consumption. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that it's not like motherfuckers aren't making $1 million off a beat no more.
No,
So
but don't be that guy on YouTube making tutorials with your shit that says licensed by Team Air or something like that. Don't be that guy.
Be smart about it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Ableton for $99, that'll get you in the door. That'll
definitely get you in.
Yeah, that'll get you rolling.
Yeah, but whatever, do what you got to do. Fucking get in the game.
That's right.
Moving right along, we got the audio interface. Yes, it is very important to have an audio interface.
So important.
You have to have one, man. Like you just have to. There's no other. I mean, you could try and run it off your native sound card, but it's not the same. You can get by without an audio interface, but at the end of the day, if it's going to open up your creativity, it's going to open up your options by actually having a preamp A to Ds that will, get you some more headroom on your mixes.
Yep.
It's going to give you the opportunity to like actually input a microphone just in case, like if you want to rap or if you want to just add vocal samples.
Yeah.
Like
if you just want to add samples in general. I mean, beating on the table or something like that. Yeah. I mean, definitely.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, and the one that I chose that would be my pick if I were starting today is the Focusrite 2i2.
Yeah.
Focusrite pre's just sound so nice, and their A to D conversion, or D to A conversion, it's why Avid chose to put it in the C24. If you ever see those big boards those big gray boards that, well, I guess they're all gray, but they're gray with green writing. You'll see it like in a bunch of studios. It's the C24. They chose to put Focusrite preamps in there, and I think they used Focusrite A to D, D to A conversion. I'm not sure about that, but for sure the preamps.
All right.
For your microphone or whatever you're using to record.
Yeah. And I mean, if you skimp on the computer a little bit, or whatever, you got a few extra bucks, like the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 Studio that comes with headphones and a microphone. That's kind of a clutch pickup too, because I think headphones would be right there with my audio interface. Because honestly, to try to keep it under $1,000, I don't know.
You're not going to need monitors.
Yeah,
when you're first starting.
Yeah, you honestly don't. Monitors almost kind of counteract whatever you're trying to do because you start thinking about it too much. And monitors are a touchy game. Like you got to know what you're doing with your monitors, and I think we touched on that before. So that pickup, something that comes with a mic and a pair of headphones for $100 more than just the interface. That's a pretty good deal right there. Yeah, definitely. So the Focusrite 2i2, definitely check that out. And I saw it online for $149. Yep.
You could price match that at Guitar Center, or like most places now will price match whatever online price you see, or you might be able to find it cheaper at Guitar Center or somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely my pick for audio interface. As far as headphones go, I went ahead and went with the Shure 440s. They're actually the headphones that I use currently, and I have to say it's probably like some of the best it's the best $100 that I've spent over the past couple years.
Right.
Like I'm pleasantly surprised with the quality of headphone that I got for $100. Coming from the Sennheiser HD 280s. These honestly, they blow them out the water.
Really?
As far as clarity goes, and as far as just bass response, they're not flat like you would kind of want out of a studio quality headphone, but they're hyped in places where where they're helpful.
Right.
You know, like it's not something that it gets in the way of like me hearing certain frequencies. It's something that my ears can get used to where I'll know, like, if it's too hype, then I'll know, like, oh, I have to turn that down. Right. Because, you know, it's almost like a weird sort of alarm system for, you know, certain frequencies. It's like, oh, I can really hear that in my headphones. That means it's going to be, you know, too loud in the car or too loud wherever else I play this. And that also gets to the point of just kind of knowing your gear or knowing your headphones. It takes a minute,
you
know, for you to actually get used to them. So.
Yeah, I mean, I personally use the HD 280 Pros. I like them, but like you just touched on, though, like it's definitely knowing your gear. If you're using a pair of headphones, know how it translates, and know how it's going to sound when you throw it on a car stereo, or when you throw it on your house speakers, or when you throw it in your earbuds. That's definitely just knowing what your mix is going to translate like. So, yeah, I mean, Shure headphones, I don't think you can go wrong with, and they're fairly priced at, right at $100. Yeah. That's kind of a win situation there for sure.
Yeah, man. And I got two more points to hit on here. I'll just go through them real quick, because I mean, honestly, they're kind of like the least important. Well, right. not the last one. The last one I'd say almost arguably is the most important. But the first one I'll touch on is the MIDI controller. So the MIDI controller I picked is the Nano Key by Korg. It's different in the fact that it's not an actual keyboard. It's more just like buttons that are laid out in the form of a keyboard.
Right.
But I really feel like when you're first starting out, having a MIDI controller is sort of like, it shouldn't be your main focus. Your main focus should probably be on like actually learning scales on a real piano if you're going to do that, or like just learning the theory behind like how to put together a song and how notes work and how chords work, and all that you can click in. Like it's not the end of the world. I've clicked in many of chord progression or melody line. You could also use your actual laptop keyboard as a keyboard in most DAWs. So you don't really need the 25 key keyboard too much, but it is nice to have. Yeah, it's nice to be able to play melodies and chords like on an actual keyboard in your DAW.
The only thing I see about the Korg that I'm not sure about is how the keys actually look. They look like they're like MPC's rubber style pads. Which I don't know about. Me personally, the keyboard that I use for like my travel keyboard and my small keyboard would be the MPK 25. Yeah. It's a few bucks more, but like I like the key action on it a little bit better. But I mean, Korg doesn't make bad gear, so this is perfect for getting it in there. And I'm sure those pads work just fine, honestly. Like, I have this keyboard. Do you? Okay.
Well, I don't have it. The person that I share a studio with, he has it, and I've actually played with it quite a bit. Yeah. It's not like rubber pads, like MPC style pads.
Oh, okay.
It's more of like a hard plastic.
Gotcha.
It's hard to describe. It's not necessarily like a key, like a piano key, right, but it's more like a button. Like, right. Think of it as like a plastic button. Yeah. And it's decent. Like, there's no like aftertouch or anything like that.
Right,
but,
right.
As
long as it gets the job done. And it's also nice because it's small and portable too, because you're not necessarily starting out going to have like this huge gigantic space to work in. So
right.
Like, I think thinking about that is important as well.
Super important. So that being said, the last but certainly not least thing I added to this list are drum samples. Yeah. Drum samples, man. Like, if I would have known about drum samples and like how to get them when I first started, I would have definitely been further along quicker. It's super important. I would almost say like just skip the keyboard and just spend 100 on drum samples when you first start if you're going to, because I mean, it can really just like it can make a song for you. Like honestly, like you can like if you don't know shit about music but you know you want to be a music producer, you can take someone's loop, put it in Ableton, chop it up on that dope ass sampler that they have, and literally maybe add like a bass line to it, maybe add a snare, a couple of one shot snare, you know, whatever you're going to do.
Yep.
And have a legitimate song that can actually, you know, compete. But like if you're going to just run, you know, stock sounds or whatever, you can do it that way too. It's just, sorry, my cat's over here messing with me. He's scratching me. But it's going to be way harder to get noticed because everybody's using those, you know, that's starting.
And then the importance of drum samples cannot be, especially if you're making hip hop. I mean, EDM, any pop. I mean, honestly, like if your drum tracks are whack, your track is probably whack. Like, and I know that's probably might sound like a strong statement, but like it's true. The importance of good drum samples cannot be emphasized enough. So yeah, definitely spend some money on some drum samples and get some quality stuff. You know, Drum Broker, always clutch. Can't go wrong with any of that. The only thing I say about drum samples, though, and this is where a service like Splice or something would come in. Splice is going to give you a lot of diversity for that subscription. You know, for the either I think it's $8 or $13 a month, depending upon how many you get. And it kind of gives you some diversity. So if you want to go out and make some house tracks or something, you could go out and get some house drums, because a lot of times, you know, we've touched on this before, buying a sample pack, it kind of, sometimes it'll pigeonhole you into a certain style.
Yeah, definitely.
So, you know, you may go out and buy an Illmind pack. Illmind packs are really only working on some like hip hop, boom bap type stuff. You know, you might be able to squeeze it into some other genres. But like that stuff's kind of specifically tailored towards, you know, some hip hop type stuff. So you know, having diverse drums I think is good too. But I mean, there's plenty that can get done with some of the, you know, the samples that come with like Ableton and Reason and FL Studio. That, you know, you can do enough, but you touched on it. You're going to sound like everybody else, because at some point or another, everybody has started out using those drum sounds. Yeah,
basically. And you know, it's not a bad thing if you want to take the time to like customize them and like do all that stuff. But especially if you're just starting out, you're probably going to get overwhelmed with all of the options that whatever synth comes with whatever DAW you choose. Like it's super intuitive to know like what a low pass filter does, or like how to hear resonance or any of that stuff to like kind of shape your sound. But you know, that's pretty much my list for $1,000. I did the math with tax and everything, and it came out to be just like almost exactly $1,000. So that's one way. There's 1,000. There was so many options that I ran through when making this list. But you know, is there any thing that did you want to go through the list without a computer or whatever you had?
Well, no. I think that's a pretty comprehensive, you know, and I definitely added my 2 cents on that. I mean, you know, obviously if you have a computer, that just definitely, you know, now you can start throwing maybe a soft synth in there, something you want to mess around with. You can look at getting Massive for like $99, or, you know, Surum is only, I think, $189. You know, Silence out there for like $139. So, you know, you could start looking at those options. I mean, you and I are pretty much on the same page as far as a lot of this stuff goes. You know, Focusrite for the audio interface is a great option, because you're getting amazing preamps within that interface. It also comes with a stripped down version of Pro Tools too. So, you know, you'll have Pro Tools, but you know, chances are starting out, you don't want to start out directly into Pro Tools.
Not for MIDI. If you're working with MIDI, I would stay far away. Stay far away from Pro. I don't understand how that. Yeah, I was like, why haven't they figured that shit out yet? I feel like everybody else has except them. Yeah. And granted, I haven't played with MIDI on Pro Tools 12, and I know plenty of producers that strictly use Pro Tools and they make bangers.
Yep.
So, it's what you're willing to put yourself through to learn your DAW. But there's way better MIDI out there than Pro Tools.
And I think the discussion can be had too, that if you have a computer, if you're already on a Mac, for a DAW, you can definitely look at Logic at that $199 price point. But you're obviously pushing your budget up there because you've already invested the money into getting a Mac.
Right.
So Logic, when I found out Logic that was $199, I was like angry. Like I wanted to write a letter to Avid and be like, what the actual fuck, Avid? Because you're charging me $400 or $500 and Logic is coming in the door doing the same thing with, I think, better sample library and better instrument libraries just out of the stock stuff.
Way better.
Apple
loops.
Oh man,
come on, man.
And some of the
that alone is like worth $100. All the Apple loops that you get, out of the box, is crazy.
It's like 37 gigabytes. I know because I downloaded all. It took like a day and a half to download. But yeah, you're talking about like 37 gigabytes of samples, which is insane. And some of the instruments, the multi-sampled stuff out of there is pretty phenomenal. Some of the ethnic sounding instruments, and like the African percussion, I use that in a bunch of tracks. That and like the Asian one too. I use that so much, probably more than I care to admit, but I do use it because they're dope. They sound awesome. So
soft synths too. Alchemy is great. I love it. Free updates. It's fucking dope.
Yeah,
can't go on.
And dope presets too for like mixed channels. If you're trying to figure out what you're doing, getting started, mixing some vocals or something, there's some pretty dope presets in there that I wouldn't obviously just set it and forget it, but you can get in there and start tweaking it, and it gives you at least an idea. And there's a lot of stuff that you throw it on a channel in there, and it's like, oh yeah, that is the sound that I'm going for. Okay, let me get in here and dice this up a little bit more, and you can get in more in depth with it. So, I think that can definitely be in the discussion. But if you're going the Mac route, you might as well push this budget to $2,000 instead of $1,000.
Yeah, man, that would be a good one. $2,000 with the Mac.
Yeah,
that'd be a little challenge though.
Oh yeah.
Like you'd probably. I mean, you could do it. I don't know. We'll maybe come back to that.
Yeah, maybe that's for another show. Because there's some decent. I know I kind of shit on reverbs earlier, but when it comes to Mac, if you don't want to spend $2,000 on a new MacBook Pro, there is options out there to get MacBook Pros, for right around $1,000, like $1,000 to $1,500. And the only thing I'll say is if you buy a refurb, make sure you get the warranty.
Please
get a warranty.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to shout these two websites out because they really did help me, even though I don't really recommend spending money that you don't necessarily have at the moment. I think that once you get in and you are realizing that you're going to be kind of dedicated to this, ZZ Sounds and American Musical, these are two websites that you put me on. Yep. They offer like a really dope payment plan, or they offer payment plans on gear that they sell.
Yep.
That is credit check free, interest free. You just have to pay like a one-time fee, like processing fee, and it's like $4 or something. It's nothing. It's nothing.
Pretty decent.
I don't know how the fuck they're doing this, but they'll basically ship you the gear after you make the first payment, which would be, depending on what you get, it could be like, I don't know. I got my MPC Studio this way, and I think my first payment was like $75, and they shipped it like that day.
Oh yeah.
And I had it like within the week.
Yeah.
So, like if you don't have all of the money up front, that is one way that you can kind of get started. They have a bunch of their gear that is eligible for this plan. So check out those two. Yeah, definitely check those two websites out, zzsounds.com and American Musical. .com. Both of those sites they're fucking saving careers left and right.
Yeah,
for
man.
sure.
I mean, the ZZ Sounds, I think, does 4 payments. I think American Musical does 3 payments. So if you got a debit card, you make that first payment. They're shipping your gear. Like you said, you got it within the week, and that next month they're gonna hit you for it. Just make sure you pay it.
Yeah, just pay that shit. Yeah, pay that shit.
Make sure you got the money in your account when that's just about to come out, because if not, I'm sure they'll come after you. I've never had that problem, thankfully. But
yeah, me neither.
I mean, I've done numerous gear purchases that way, and it's great. Even if you got the money, sometimes it's nice to hold on to some of the money and break those payments up over, a 4-month span, 3-month span.
Yeah, and it gives you time to like kind of fall in love with your gear a little bit. Like you don't have to, you don't have to feel like, oh shit. Like if you drop all that money all at once, and then you're like, man, like this piece of gear it's not really like, I don't get it. Like you don't feel as bad. Yeah, exactly.
kind of alleviate some of that buyer's remorse that you sometimes experience when you drop a bunch of money on gear. So yeah, I can agree with that too.
Yeah, so I think that's gonna do it for today. We went kind of long today.
Yeah, well, we had to make up for last week. Last week was a short show. But so we're giving you extra. See, we give back here at the Audio Files.
That's what we do, and it's nothing but good quality, wholesome information for you. So
that's right.
This is us signing out. I'm Rashad Peters with my co-host Dustin Brookshire. You can find us one more time at Facebook, however you want to say it. The Audio Files Podcast. Go ahead and give that page a like. Stalk us on Instagram. I haven't been posting on Instagram for maybe a couple days, but those memes are coming. Don't worry about it. They're stockpiled in my phone as we speak. So on Instagram at the Audio Files Podcast, on Twitter TAFPod, TAFPODD. And you got anything you want to pimp? Anything you want to say? Anything?
Nah, man, that's good. Shoot the page a like. Give us some feedback. Send us more music, because I always love. I'm always looking for new music to listen to. So yeah, man. Keep listening if you're listening. If you're not listening, what are you doing with your life? Yeah,
what the fuck, man? Damn. If you're not listening, you're not even hearing us right now. But we'll make sure that you hear it.
That's right.
Anyway, all right. See you guys later. We're out.